Welcome. Tonight we're talking about the 3 top ways to kick your soda or your diet soda habit. If you're new here, let me quickly introduce myself. My name is Renee Paulson. I'm a recovering food and sugar addict, but also a healthy living and nutrition coach. I struggled with my soda habit for years. I was literally drinking a 2 liter of Coca-Cola every single day and no water. Crazy story, honestly, and this I believe is directly linked to my soda habit. When I was in my teenage years, I was in health class in high school, and they had you take your heart rate. So I was sitting there taking my resting heart rate, and everybody was shouting out, what their resting heart rate was because the teacher asked. And I said my resting heart rate was like 120 beats per minute. And the teacher looked at me like, you obviously can't count, ma'am, because everybody else's was like 80, 85, whatever. And so he came over to take my resting heart rate. And again, it was 120 beats per minute. Now he was like, well, you need to tell your mom and you need to go to the doctor for this because this is not normal. Our resting heart rate should be around 80 to 90 beats per minute. And if you are in better shape, actually it is lower. So I went home and told my mom, went to the doctor, and they're like, oh, well, this is definitely not normal, And when they took it out the doctor, it was always the same. They're like, well, do you have what is known as white coat syndrome? And I was like I'm afraid of you? No. So it wasn't that. So then they started to run a battery of tests, and they checked all sorts of things. They did a scan, and they were checking my pituitary gland. But the crazy part, and I think I was I want to say 16 years old at this time when this was happening. So they set up this test in the hospital, and I go to the hospital and I check in, and it was like an outpatient, not like you'd check, but one of the places, I think it was like a CT scan. I'm gonna have to double check, but you have to take this radioactive pill so that it can highlight the pituitary gland, and they can look at it to make sure that's not why my heart rate was so fast. And so I'm sitting there, imagine me in this room, this hospital room by myself, waiting, and I'm 16 years old, and I'm waiting for this lady, and I'm sitting in a chair, and the lady comes in, and she's in a full get up. She in a hood with a shield and a whole thing. And she gets this metal tube, legitimate thing. Think of a metal pipe, right? That has a metal screw top. And so she brings in this metal pipe, and she unscrews the top, and she pours out this pill into my hand and says, okay, and hands me a glass of water and says, okay, you take this pill, this radioactive pill. This person is giving me this pill in a whole radioactive garb. This is scary. I ended up taking the pill and, doing the whole test. Pituitary gland was fine. They ended up putting me on medication saying, well, this should really help. We don't know why. We just think it's you. And then take this pill and it should help. And I took the pill. It didn't help. So finally I was just like, screw this. I am done doing all of this rigmarole. And it wasn't until I was in my 30s, legitimately for a good over 15 years, thinking that just my resting heart rate was supposed to be 120 beats per minute. And that's just me. And so when I went to the doctor, I always told them when they were taking my heart rate, and that's always what it was. Come to find out, when I quit my soda habit and really detoxed from sugar, but really that soda habit, a 2 liter of regular Coca-Cola every day, that caffeine and sugar, holy smokes. So when I quit that altogether and I got healthy, my resting heart rate went down to 85 beats per minute. And I was like, holy smokes, are you kidding me? My whole life I went through all of these tests and all of this stuff, and it was my soda habit? You've got to be kidding me. Now, there is, there's soda and there's diet soda. Diet sodas are sweetened with aspartame and sucralose. So they are actually worse than soda because they're artificial sweeteners and they hit the body differently. So what ends up happening when you ingest, let's say, regular soda, is the high fructose corn syrup in there directly hits your system and starts going in through as high glucose in through your body and through your system. It gets stored into your liver as fatty liver disease if there's an excess amount of it, because your body can't process all of that at one time. It also spikes the dopamine in your brain, which spikes your reward system and your motivation, and it's just like, wee, this feels great. Your brain is super happy and loves it. Now, if you take that away, then of course the brain starts to crave that dopamine rush. That's why if you've ever tried to quit soda and maybe been unsuccessful in the past, that would be why. Now also, diet soda, because it has aspartame and sucralose, those artificial sweeteners hit the body differently. They trigger your sweet taste receptors in your tongue, meaning your tongue basically sends a message to your brain saying, so guess what? Sugar is about to come, so I want you to get excited. But since it processes differently in the body, it doesn't actually hit the brain like that huge dopamine rush. It actually inhibits dopamine and serotonin in the brain. So the brain sits there and goes, I'm waiting for sugar. And then none of that comes. And you're like, so the brain goes into a craving loop. Both diet soda and soda are related to weight gain because they also, sugars can relax the stomach, making you actually ingest more food than what you originally intended. All right, they're also linked to a myriad of diseases, and I went over all of that on Tuesday, so I don't want to be too very redundant, but soda and diet soda is definitely one of those habits that you want to kick. Do I have a soda? Is this a perfectly 100% 1,000 rule at all times? No, if I have a soda now, I have it in a cocktail, but because I track my food and have learned now in moderation as a recovering food and sugar addict to weigh out my food choices through the nutritional value. When I go to have a treat, I would not choose a soda. I would choose a cookie because a cookie has more nutritional value than the soda. It doesn't have those, it has a little bit of negative side effects, obviously from the sugar and things like that, but you're not getting a mouthful of chemicals and high fructose corn syrup. So it helps to really weigh out those choices. Now, top tips, 3 tips on how to kick your soda habit. The first tip would be to either start decreasing gradually or even do swap outs. Now, a lot of people do swap outs and try and do like the Crystal Lights or the Mayos, the little squirts that you add to your water and things like that. If you've had any of those things, put them in the comments or just hit the heart or whatever you want. But definitely most of the time, and when I did in the beginning, I was switching those things out for that. Now, what I'm talking about is either switching out your soda habit for maybe if you like the carbonation, just straight carbonated water. If you like a little bit of flavor because you're like, I can't just drink straight water, ma'am. Then maybe put some fruit in your water, an orange slice. I really like orange, and that also, orange essential oil has been known to help satisfy hunger as well. So you could do that. You could do mint. Mint is really nice as well. Or you could do lemon. Lemon water is really healthy, and also it's good for your gut microbiome as well. So you could do all those things. Now, I also heard of a gentleman that swapped out, and he told me I could tell you the swap out because I actually thought it was a very good swap out, that he likes to do straight carbonated water, and then he found the stevia, like cola drops at Sprouts, and maybe just a few drops in there just to give it some flavor, and maybe some lemon drops too. I haven't had that. I'm not a huge fan of the taste of stevia liquid drops personally, and I limit stevia and sweeteners, as much as I can. But that would also be another good switch out option. Tracy, hey girl, just watching, even though I don't do soda ever, 3 times a year. Yeah, if I do a soda, it's in a cocktail. But most of the time, no. And, it's not that I am saying, it's not good for you. There's no nutritional value. Literally, I would advise you to eat a cookie over having a soda, which is why I have these tips. So either decrease it gradually by either doing the swap outs with fruit in your water, or even that carbonation. If you really crave that carbonation, then do carbonated water. But most of the time, I find that we crave that sweet. So this is when it's really helpful to do a 10-day sugar detox. To kick that soda habit at the same time. So you kind of go through those detox symptoms and kick the soda habit. Like I said, you do it in one foul swoop. So you have the symptoms from both of the caffeine and the sugar going. So it's kind of, I guess, a little bit better. I think it's better, personally. So you can do the swap outs. What I tell people is I really like to switch the lens of how you think about it. So in the food and beverage industry, there's something in there called the Bliss Point. So they are trying to chemically alter the food And this soda, obviously very, very easy to do this with because of the high fructose corn syrup that's in there. But they alter it to get it to a certain point where it literally lights up your brain like the 4th of July. It's a firework. And they call it the Bliss Point. They're trying to get you to the Bliss Point so that they make you a repeat customer. This is also why added sugar is in about 80% of the items in the grocery store shelves right now, because they want you to come back and want more. And it's very easy to do that if they can get you hooked on it without you really realizing it. The food and beverage industry is that they've added sugar into everything, and it's very sneaky because it goes by a whole bunch of different names, but especially in soda, that high fructose corn syrup really is very detrimental to our health. Now, on the flip side, if you're looking at diet soda, aspartame and sucralose is, again, very detrimental, linked to not only weight gain, obesity, diabetes, but also Alzheimer's, decreased cognitive function, infertility, ADHD, anxiety, depression. Soda the same way. So they both carry heavy detriments to your health and no nutritional benefits. So it's hugely, it's very beneficial to kick the habit. But by switching your lens and looking at it as this company, first of all, does not have your best interest at heart or your health. They don't care about your health at all. They don't care about you. Let's just make that perfectly clear. If you're looking at whatever food and beverage company it is, you are a number, you're a customer, and that's how they look at you. And now the food industry has made it very glaringly obvious that they will, put that responsibility back on the consumer, which again they did for big tobacco. So the playbook was already there. But by switching that lens and looking at it as they don't have your best health interests at heart, they genuinely just want your money, and they're making this soda addictive for a reason. They are trying to get in your head and make you crave it and make you want it without you realizing it, that it's them behind doing that. And for years I have thought, I've gone back and forth on this and thought, well, is it intentional, or is it just like a byproduct of these companies trying to make money and trying to be in business? But at this point now, the studies are out that there's extreme health benefit, detrimental, like horrible, my brain can't talk anymore at this point, huge bad health side effects. I don't know if that's a good way to even say it at this point. And also highly addictive, especially high fructose corn syrup. Now, what I do know is that throughout the world that a lot of places have limited these things and also limited the sweeteners that they can use, or the dyes that they can use. However, the United States here has not, and we have the largest soda drinking problem, period. So by switching that lens and saying, you know what, I am not going to be controlled. I am a warrior, and I think for myself, and that's how I ended up switching my lens and kicking that soda habit, is by looking at the nutritional value of food, which I'm going to talk about. That's my third tip. But by switching that lens and saying, I will not be controlled. I will not be told what to do. And I'm going to sit here and be stubborn and just cross my arms. And because in my life, I have found that has worked. I've been stubborn in my life in general. I don't know about you. If you have to, then, definitely let me know. But that's just how I have been able to look at it, is I don't want to be told what to do. Even look at people right now with the whole CDC thing and the mask, and this is why, because people don't want to be told what to do. And so if you take that lens and you say, you know what, I don't want to be controlled. You can't tell me what to do. It starts to become a lot easier to vote with that dollar and say, you know what, my dollar isn't going to go in this person's pocket who wants me, and they're trying to make me addicted to this substance so that they can get more money from me, because they just only care about that, making money in the bottom line. So good switch outs, switching your lens. And then that last tip would be to really track food and the nutritional value. I want you to go and I use a free app called Chronometer, and go and look at the nutritional value of a 20-ounce Coca-Cola. The sugar in there alone is insane, and there's no nutrients in it. So it literally just spikes you up. It causes fatty liver disease. Really, you're getting nothing out of it except what you think is that caffeine or that sugar that if you're tired and you're like, oh, I think I really need that. But caffeine hits that central nervous system. So it's like fake energy. It's not really energy. It like hits your central nervous systems and make you think that you have energy and that you can be more focused. But really, that amount of caffeine and sugar, really the sugar is the biggest concern, because the amount that's going in these beverages is insane. Like, there's no need to have more sugar in a 20-ounce Mountain Dew than you have in an entire Cinnabon. More than 2 teaspoons more in a Mountain Dew than a Cinnabon. So it's getting way out of hand. So by looking at the nutritional value of the, I should say, the lack of nutritional value from the soda, and then put it up against maybe a cookie or a slice of cake or a brownie. Now, am I saying to eat that every day? No, but I am saying, if you have soda, make it a few in between occasion, not an everyday, or where you have to continue to feed that habit daily, weekly. I would recommend sticking very, very closely, like Tracy says, she does maybe 3 times a year. I do it if I enjoy a cocktail and that's the cocktail I choose at that time, but most of the time I don't. And I recommend trying to limit as much as possible, just because, again, it's a bottle of high fructose corn syrup and chemicals and dye that have been linked to, even just anxiety and depression alone. In the last 2 years, since everything has gone on, everyone's mental health has suffered drastically. So one of the best things that you could do for your mental health is to try and clear all that garbage out and clean up your soda habit. If you still need help with getting that soda habit out, and maybe accountability, reach out to me. Doing Sugar Warrior 10 is a great way to do that. It's running right now, but it's going to be available again towards the end of the month. I'm super excited. There's an amazing group of ladies in there, and they're rocking it, giving up soda, kicking that habit, and ready to kick it for good. So I'm really excited about that. When it comes down to it, I don't know about you, but I would rather eat a Cinnabon than drink a 20-ounce Mountain Dew. And also, I will tell you that the last time I had a soda, I actually had it by accident on Halloween. And I had it, I thought it was like a punch that someone made, and it was like soda and ice, or like sherbet. And I felt like I was like, and it just reminded me like how yucky I used to feel like that, and how I used to think that was normal, and to come out of that and to realize that it feels so much better on the other side once you kick that habit, then it's totally worth it. So I appreciate you taking the time to take my 3 top tips on how to kick your soda habit and your diet soda habit. That diet soda honestly is worse than the regular. Actually, that's like saying Jeffrey Dahmer is worse than Ted Bundy. Who can say who's worse? They're both really bad. So that's what I equated it to. Are you gonna have the Jeffrey Dahmer, the Ted Bundy? I had a friend who was really having trouble kicking her soda habit, but she really. I was a former smoker. I smoked cigarettes for a long time. I have quit, obviously, and that was a bad habit to kick, hard habit to kick, but I think that the sugar habit was a lot harder. But she said, well, I'm going to have 1 20-ounce soda. It'll be fine. It's not a big deal. And I'm like, okay, I'm just going to smoke 5 cigarettes. It'll be fine. It'll be totally fine. And if you start to equal soda and diet soda to little things like that, like, would you go smoke a cigar right now? Would you go, whatever it is, whatever vice, but, it's really one of those things where the nutritional value isn't there, and I would highly, highly take a cookie over a soda any day. I don't know about you. All right, my lovelies. I hope you have an amazing Thursday night. I'm so thankful that you were here and that you took the time to watch this with me. My brain is only half working. I think I need a nap tonight. I got up too early, worked out, and now it's like my brain's like, I think it's time to go to bed now. So I hope that you have an amazing night. I do live streams every Tuesday and Thursday on this page. So I will see you next week. Bye-bye.